Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve here in Australia. The one thing that means is that Santa's on his way tomorrow. The second thing is rounds 1 and 2 of the Worlds are done. We'll quickly run through our Aussie boys who perform well and my match of the tournament so far. So Ben Robb and Raymond Smith were the two guys I was hot on based on their Motor Super Series form, and unfortunately they both didn't get through. What you saw is Ben Robb came up against Mickey Mansell, who played one of his best games on stage. Mickey Mansell then later that night bombed and averaged low 80s, maybe even in the 70s, which Ben Robb would have smashed. Unfortunately, he copped the Mickey Mansell's mid-90s game, and Ben was a tiny bit off from his form in the Super Series. And that's all it takes, is a tiny bit. And I feel like Raymond Smith was very similar. He's got the game to beat Karel Sedlacek most of the time. Unfortunately, he was definitely that tiny bit off. Like, I'm talking that much off, triple 20s, 2 darts out of 3 and hitting 140s every time. His finishing was the same. It was very close, but just the tiniest little bit off. And sometimes nothing can explain that. It's not a matter of big stage or ill practice or different preparation, wrong preparation. It can simply be that they just didn't go in. Sometimes that happens. Who else? We had Mal Cumming. He was a bit off his normal game, but he copped probably, I think, the most difficult matchup to come out of the... So you got the 32 qualifiers, which Mal Cumming was a part of. So was Raymond Smith and Ben Robb. The 32 Pro Tour players, the ones you didn't want to cop was Josh Rock and Alan Suter. Alan Suter is going to be in the top 32 by middle of the year for sure, if not by the end of this tournament. He is an absolute star, and the fact that he's not playing more consistently is crazy, and he'll work his way up. Johnny Clayton's just stopped his job outside of darts and is now a full-time pro. It's not far away from Alan Suter being at that stage too. The PDC will want him playing. He is an absolute star. His big finishes in big matches is eye-catching and absolutely stunning to watch. So watch out for him coming up and all the way through this tournament. Who else did we have? So we had Simon Whitlock. He got the job done against Christian Perez. Wasn't outstanding, but got the job done. Got out to a good lead against Jose de Souza, and then Jose upped it. Even when he got into a good lead, I think he was 2-0 up. It wasn't inspiring by the Wizard. It wasn't his best performance. And then once Jose got going, the Wizard just didn't quite get it done. He had plenty of chances, but didn't get it done. And last but not least, Damon Hedder. He is through to round 3, where he will face Joe Cullen. That is probably the tie of the third round. It's going to be a cracker. So Damon Hedder, he was just a professional performance. Had the crowd against him, but you saw the way he responded with his walk-on. He's just there to play darts. The crowd can do nothing but respect him. So a lot of the times when you come up against a crowd favourite, it can set you up for a long time. Ricky Evans did it against Fallon. He's also a lovable guy and just produced what he needed to do against Fallon, and the crowd are always going to love him. Damon Hedder's the same. The crowd they'll always be on his side. They may not love him, but they'll always be on his side. They're never going to hate him because he's there to play darts, and he does that. But it was one of his best TV performances. I know it was only a 95 average, I think, but against the crowd, against someone like Adrian Lewis, he just didn't give him a look in and performed out of his skin. So really well done by Damon, and he's our last hope now, and he comes up against Joe Cullen, who's had his number quite a few times on TV this year. But after Joe's performance against Ricky Evans, I think he's going to have it. Damon Hedder will take the chances that Ricky Evans didn't, and Damon Hedder's going to get through that. He's still my firm tip for the semis. That's what I need to do, is check what I tipped for quarters and semis and make sure we're still on track. So we had quarter 1. Gez Noppert or Wade, definitely not James Wade, as I think James Wade and Darryl Gurney were the only seeded players to drop out. So that's still on track. Quarter 2, everyone on Bully Boy, blah, 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 blah. Quarter 2, final, Hedder and Chizzy. Chizzy looked amazing, and Damon Hedder won, so that's also still on track. That tie didn't disappoint. The Robert Owen, Andrew Gilding tie. And then Dave Chisnell versus Andrew Gilding was also a pretty good contest. Dave Chisnell was class above. Quarter 3, I've got Ratajski versus Clayton. Ratajski did okay. Johnny Clayton was good. So I think that's still on. Peter Wright looked pretty good, so we'll see how that goes. And quarter four, I've got MVG versus Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson was fantastic. He definitely missed a few doubles, but he looked really good, so that's still on as well. I think I haven't changed too much on those. I did think there was a chance Durkin Divenbow didn't get through, but he did, but didn't look jumped out. Michael Smith obviously did really well. So my match of the tournament so far, and if you disagree, you've lost the plot. Ryan Joyce versus Scott Williams. That was an absolute cracker. Ryan Joyce was averaging 110 plus. Scott Williams put on a show for the crowd. It was absolutely fantastic. And I think it was still 3-1, but it was just entertaining the whole way through and you had no idea which way it was going to go. Ryan Joyce was absolutely sensational and one of the highest averages of the tournament and lost. So is he stiff? Of course he's stiff. So what else? We've got to talk about our three ladies, the story of the tournament, one of the stories of the tournament. So Bo Greaves come up against Willie O'Connor. I was really disappointed that Willie didn't perform better against Clements, but came up against it and he silenced the crowd and did what he needed to do. Bo shouldn't be ashamed of her performance, but she'll want to do better than that. Fallon Sherrick was really good against Ricky Evans, just missed opportunities. Ricky said himself he dodged a bullet, got away with murder. And that was the case. Fallon really should have won that, but didn't. That can happen to anyone. I think she averaged 89, which is quite respectable and a lot higher than a lot of other players. And thirdly, Lisa Ashton. Oh, man, she should have won that. She came back from 2-0 down, just performed out of her skin, and just when she gets on a roll, she's absolutely sensational. So my top 5 individual performances. So the other story is Gary Anderson that we talked about. He's through. He's looking good. I think he'll be all right. Standout performances, I'll go with 5. We had MVG was sensational. Dave Chisnell was fantastic. Who else? Damon Hedder's my number 1. I know that's a bit selfish to say Damon Hedder, but he really was absolutely fantastic, and I was really pleased for him to get through to that stage. Gerwin Price was all right. Did his job, and Michael Smith didn't. I don't think he dropped a leg. So there you 5. So what did we say? We said MVG, absolutely sensational. I think he had the highest average. Dave Chisnell was outstanding. Gezi did the job, looked pretty good. Michael Smith was sensational, didn't ever look like losing. And as I said, Damon Hedder, he was my top performer. Even though he was nowhere near the standard Michael Van Gerwen was at, he had a tricky matchup in Adrian Lewis. His TV form all year hadn't been great, and that was well spoken about, but he got it done and looked absolutely brilliant. So that's basically what we'll go through for now. We're not going to be here for too long because it's Christmas Eve here. Ho, ho, ho. I'm really looking forward to the Damon Hedder matchup. I can't wait for that. Chizzy Bunting will be pretty good, and the rest of the round 3 matches, they're all going to be pretty good because you've got mostly seeded players left. I think, as I said, James Wade's out, but he got beaten by Jim Williams, who is a standout player, probably 2020, I think it was, Lakeside runner-up, so he can throw a dart. And, I think there was Daryl Gurney was out. I think he may have lost. I can't remember who he lost to. And Josh Rock is through as well, so he knocked out a seed. So I can't remember who that was, but doesn't matter. Merry Christmas, everyone. Enjoy the arrows, and we will see you in the new year. We'll probably come to you after round 4 wraps up. We'll let round 3 and round 4 go through. Maybe a quick one once Damon Hedder's done. But until then, enjoy the arrows, enjoy Christmas, and see you in the new year.